Okay, so before the break, we were talking about our flagship project, and Michael just wants to add a little something before we move on to the other uh, activities that we have.
Yes, I hope you don't mind. I really want to push for as much information dissemination as possible with regard to our proposed flagship project for the Consular Corps, simply because it has such a deep community and social impact that we realize that this particular what originated as an environmental concern is actually a project that can involve so many other committees, so that we can actually unify the effort. So instead of having separate activities and efforts being put forth by the Consular Corps, we can actually have one major one in terms of a project that can, as I said, affect all the way down to the grassroots level of these
But
communities.
Michael, don't the other embassies, as far as I know, we have the development fund, or what do you call this, Russell? ODA
Well,
or
we in
grants?
yeah, there are grants programs that are available for these kinds of things through the various embassies. Certainly, the U.S. Embassy is very active with United States Agency for International Development, and then other
Like
more.
the EU,
And the EU,
yeah.
of course, has these kinds of things as well. So I think anything that the Concert Corps does in this area is really complementary and bolsters the effect of this kind of environmental activism and preservation that's going on in the Philippines now.
All right. So your flagship
So the flagship is
projects.
actually going to be in Silunay, Mindoro.
All right.
And that was actually identified again by Conservation International, but it's actually part of the triangle, coral triangle, that involves multiple countries in the region.
All right.
So even though the Consular Corps of the Philippines is based in the Philippines, this particular project is not only going to affect communities in the Philippines, it will also affect the communities in other countries who are part of that triangle. This triangle is actually considered as the rainforest, or the the Amazon of the ocean. That's the impact or the significance of this particular area, which the Philippines, that particular area of the Philippines is part of.
All right.
And that's why.
And the other
it's,
countries involved in that triangle would be.
Uh, it's part of the briefer, but again, we don't really want to provide too much information now because we want to provide
right.
a full
All right.
presentation to
Okay.
the Consular Corps at the end of the year.
All right. Okay. So, well, aside from that, because we're already in that environment issue, we also have the disaster preparedness, relief, and rehabilitation. So, I think the, the the mangroves would have a good effect on, lessening all these disasters. When the disaster hits, a certain area in the Philippines, we all come together as a corps, as an organization, also to help out, to assist, and to give out relief, which we have been doing.
Yes, in the past, we've actually participated in several uh, fast setup relief efforts for disasters that have happened, like typhoons, earthquakes.
Yes.
The most recent one, well, second to the most recent one, the earthquake that happened in Leyte, the Consular Corps was approached by one of the undersecretaries of the Department of Labor and Employment, who happened to be from that particular area. And he told me that while it's nice that international organizations or communities are helping out by sending relief goods, food, clothing, blankets, he said that a lot of them don't realize that the very first thing that we would need are mosquito nets.
All
You know,
right.
because for people to actually be able to move on with their lives the next day in terms of
Yes.
picking themselves up,
Yeah.
they need a good night's sleep. And it's hard to get a good night's sleep when you're
Right.
sleeping outdoors because you don't have your house or your home
Yeah,
anymore.
right.
And you've got mosquitoes everywhere. And plus, of course, it helps to reduce the incidence of dengue and other such mosquito-borne
All right.
diseases.
Yeah. So we were able also to uh, give out some of this.
We will be actually. We're waiting
Alright.
on the final count in terms of how many they actually need.
All right. Okay.
But things that we've actually delivered in the past are books, blankets.
All right. Yeah. Russell has been to the Ilocos region, and I think it would be good also, aside from the mosquito net, give the Ilocano Abel blankets, right?
Yes, I had an opportunity to visit the North and saw the work up there, the handiwork, and that would be also something that would be great.
Very
Absolutely.
sturdy. So
Very sturdy,
include it
that's
with the
right.
mosquito nets.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's a good idea.
All right. So, okay, we also have the scholarships that we support for the DFA. Go ahead, Michael.
But even that again, that goes back to the evolution of the Consular Corps as an organization. I mean, we've become more active instead of just the usual help where you don't really see. Now we're trying to be at the forefront so that we can engage our members, especially the new ones, so that they can see that this is not just a fellowship or a social group that you can actually help with the community. But one thing that we are looking at strengthening further is the scholarship programs that we're currently offering, so that we can actually include other underprivileged families, particularly the family members of the lower or the rank and file employees of different government agencies.
Right.
So we don't just focus on one government agency.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, we have to include more as much as we could, no? I
Right,
mean,
exactly. And also at the same time,
inclusive,
look
yeah.
at the interest of these kids, these young adults, in terms of what do they want to do. Not all of them are going to want to go to college and
Yes.
earn a degree and maybe go into the foreign service. Some of them we have to consider would want to go into some type of technical vocational program
And
as
that's
well.
why we were talking about the TESDA,
Exactly.
sponsoring some TESDA courses
Yes, yes.
for this. Yeah. All right. So aside from that, we also have some charities, some foundations that we have, and we are supporting.
Yes, two groups that we've consistently supported. One is the PGH, where the last donation was in the form of electric blankets we provided for their neonatal ward. And again, we're open. The Consular Corps is open to different requirements from the PGH depending on the need of their patients. Another one, of course, would be the Bahay Aruga.
Yes, the halfway house.
It's a halfway house for
Ah,
cancer patients.
Right, actually there. Yeah, I've featured them also, and it's a very good, what do you call it, very good cost, not to give to Bahay Aruga, because if I may say so, it's for children with cancer, but again, the marginalized, and they come from the different provinces. They don't have a place to stay here. So, yeah, we were able to contribute a lot of items that they needed, no? Because it's just, well, the children with a parent who stay there while having treatment, no? And they're not, it's not, what do you call this? There's a lot of things that are needed for them, but we helped in a way. We helped in providing some of
We
this.
definitely helped in a big way, and we're open to doing more of that. Again, it's just a matter of looking at these different groups, these different charities, and in continuing with the idea of the Consular Corps having a direct hand in terms of reaching out and helping or providing assistance in terms of what we can assist with and in terms of what they actually need.
All right. And we did reach out also to the seriously ill and abandoned children and elders.
Yes, yes, we did. Again, these are continuing programs.
Right.
I mean, there's so many different charitable activities that we can engage in. And I think that's part of the reason why the Consular Corps continues to evolve, so that we can continue to address more and more of these concerns and
Yes.
continue to involve our members from both the career and the honorary side.
Plus also, if I may be able to mention, also the feeding program that we're supporting in the Payatas area, because a lot of children over there are malnourished or undernourished. So the Corps has been able to sustain like a year for the feeding program.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And that's why we need to keep exploring the different ways that the Consular Corps can grow so that we can find the best and most efficient solutions to be able to generate what we need to generate for helping with these
Yeah.
different
And to
communities.
reach out, no? Right. So we have organized campus tours, and one of them was the participation of the U.S. Embassy with regards to the protection of, what do you call it now, Mike?
International Parental Child Abduction.
All right.
So this was in 2015, as I understand it, in a time where we were really encouraging Philippines to sign on as a signatory to the Hague Convention on International Parental Child Abduction, which Philippines has signed on to. And so the campus tour got in conjunction with Adamson University and the American Embassy. There was a forum on this topic, and the topic is international parental child abduction is when you have perhaps a child custody issue between two parents, and one parent takes the children away from one country and takes them to another country. And what the Hague Convention does is it makes it a very legal proceeding, and it tries to do what is in the best interests of the child. And the court that is in effect of where the child normally resides, as opposed to the court where the child is taken, has the effect on making the ruling about where the child should go.
All right.
And so it's something that we, in certainly the U.S. and other countries, really promote countries signing on to this convention. And it's I don't think a very big problem here in Philippines, but it certainly is in the best interests of Philippine children.
For me, one of the interesting aspects of organizing, helping to organize that, was that if I remember correctly, certain countries had been pushing the Philippines to consider becoming a signatory to that convention, and they had been working at it for more than 4 years.
All right.
And then I don't know if it was because of what we did, but I'm sure that helped, because not more than 6 months after that half-day forum,
Yes.
the Philippines became a signatory.
I think it's important to create awareness, to create interest for a certain concern or issue, to be able to, come out and be recognized, or, for us to see the importance of that certain issue or concern. Yeah.
I think so. And also, we are involved in the business of diplomacy. And as consular officers, we are always involved where diplomacy and family come together. And of course, there are so many, certainly in the United States, there are more than 4 million people of Filipino heritage that live in the U.S., and there are more than 300,000 Americans that reside here in Philippines. And it's the family-to-family ties that keep our countries certainly so close together. And so the consular aspect of what we do has an enormous impact in both countries. So the fact that the Consular Corps uses its influence and its good offices, as we say, to promote socially progressive and socially valuable elements like this that also have to do with what we do as diplomats is just, I think, really amazing.
Yeah, so let's just go on with other campus tours.
Definitely. I've actually been in talks with other university presidents around Manila, the city of Manila, just so that it won't be too difficult for our members to actually find a place and attend the activities. But they're definitely welcome.
Yeah.
We're definitely welcome to have activities at these various universities and colleges.
Well, I know for a fact that Consul Buddy Conanan is very active, even as far as Mindanao. He does these campus tours and even film festivals, of the country that he represents. So we've done that, and we could do it again, the film festival. Yes, so we have also visit and assistance to public schools. That's also an interesting project that the Consular Corps has done with the Brigada Escuela. We have, for several years now, we have gone to the schools, especially in Maharlika, in Bikutan, and we have painted the walls ourselves. We don't have pictures of that, do we?
No, unfortunately, I wasn't able to put in pictures from that activity. But it's interesting that in terms of an update, I actually had a chance to speak extensively with Mayor Lani Cayetano of Taguig.
Yes.
And I mentioned that we have this program, and she said, well, can you guys, the Consular Corps, do something with more schools in
Yes,
Taguig? And I said, by all means.
Yes.
If the Office of the Mayor can identify public schools that need the most
Yes,
assistance,
right.
we can definitely engage the Consular Corps in that type of activity.
Wonderful. Okay, we have so many other projects that we would like to do, right? But for me, I think this is perfect. The Global Village, this program, could feature the Consular Corps of the Philippines, because actually, we're like a small global village also, with all the different consuls that are members of the Corps. And so we can just, exchange whatever ideas and whatever action that we want to be taken up with as a group, as an organization.
Precisely. I mean, that's the best way to view the Consular Corps of the Philippines, that it is a global village. But at the same time, from within the Consular Corps, the perspective should be outward in terms of how we can further grow
Yes,
that global
outward.
village.
That's a key word. Outward, not just making it like an exclusive boys club, but reaching out. Yeah.
Precisely. At the end of the day, it's about how we impact our respective communities.
And how our duties are made more easy or faster with the contacts that we establish amongst ourselves, and with the different organizations or departments of the Philippine government.
Right. And of course, as we all know, none of that will actually happen or even start unless we initially make that first connection, with the members of our community. Particularly in this situation, the Corps interacting with the different government agencies and getting the assistance to interact with local communities, and from within the Corps, the career members interacting with the honorary the honorary consuls who are also members, and growing it from there.
All right. Any other input you want to share, Russell?
Well, I think that I'm so impressed after being in many, many different countries throughout my career, just how civic-minded and social responsibility-minded that our Philippine colleagues in the Consular Corps are here. So the CCP is made up, of course, as we said at the beginning of the program, of both career consuls, so people who are representing our countries from abroad, like myself, but here in the Philippines also we have this very active group of honorary consuls who, of course, Filipinos who represent other countries, but in fact are advocating on behalf of the Philippines in diplomacy with those respective countries. And so it's just amazing to me how much there is of the Philippine spirit of hospitality to make us feel welcome as diplomats, but also how much there is in terms of giving to the community that, as we had said before, really furthers the spirit of bilateral, multilateral, and global cooperation on a whole variety of issues. And so it's just a wonderful, I just think it's a wonderful blessing for me to be part of this organization, and I really welcome, I feel very welcome, and I really welcome the fellowship of the Consular Corps.
Well, I know for a fact that the other honorary consuls abroad who have witnessed our organization, they're just impressed, and they want to duplicate it in a way, how to, put together the career consuls and the honorary consuls in the different countries that they have supposedly a group. But of course, we also have the FICAC, no? We have the Federation of...
the International Federation of Honorary Consuls.
Yes. All right.
The Consular Corps of the Philippines is a member of FICAC.
Yes.
And as you said earlier, it really hits a nail on the head. The members of FICAC, when the Consular Corps, when the CCP hosted the FICAC for a regional conference, they were so impressed,
Yes.
and they wanted to use us as their model, so they can duplicate it around the world.
Yes, well, with our big fundraiser also at our main event, fellowship, that's the consular ball that we have at the end of the year that generates funds and also, well, strengthens the fellowship that we have, So that they also tried to learn from us. They came to observe. Russell, would you believe they came and they said, wow, we should do this in that country or in our country. So,
Yeah, but it's really flattering that they put us on such a high pedestal. But at the end of the day, they have to realize that this didn't happen automatically. As we keep saying, from the start of the program, it's an evolutionary process, and it took a while, for the Corps to get to where it's at and to realize that it cannot stop there. It needs to continue to evolve. But there was a starting point, and the starting point is the commonality between us and the other consular corps around the world. That we were all created under the umbrella of fellowship between the honoraries and the diplomat and the career diplomats.
all right, so we're almost at the end of the program. We have another 2 minutes, but yeah, so I hope that we were able to share a little of what we do and that, well, to create awareness that the Consular Corps of the Philippines is not just a social club, but it also has been helping a lot in the different communities in the country. And we hope to be able to go on with the different projects, especially the mangroves that with regards to environment and so many others. So maybe you can get in touch with us if you have some great ideas where we can also assist and help as a group, as the Consular Corps of the Philippines. Anything else, Michael, Russell?
Thank you very much, Consul Annette, for this opportunity to have us as guests on your show. And I sincerely hope that we were able to provide some enlightenment to the Consular Corps, well, to the people, in terms of what the Consular Corps of the Philippines is about.
Russell?
Absolutely, yes. And thank you to you also for inviting me to come on the show and to represent not only the U.S. Embassy here, but also as a member of the Consular Corps.
Yes,
So
and we
you.
all have to thank Consul Buddy Conanan for this opportunity and for giving us the trust to have the global village and feature the Consular Corps of the Philippines. So to all of you, good night, and thank you for joining us this evening.